Hello and what is up, guys? Rye here and welcome back to some more automation and BeamNG.drive. So I've seen a couple people post on, the Discord, etc. over the past few months, making these interesting side-by-side vehicles. If you don't know what a side-by-side vehicle is, it's basically like almost like a quad, so a four-wheeled off-roader on stilts with, a roll cage and some proper seats, etc. and a bit bigger. So it's basically an off-roader that can seat two people, one person. There's different configurations, and today we are going to making our very own side-by-side off-roader vehicle in automation, and of course we're going to use it in BeamNG.drive and just see how good it is or how bad it is. So in front of us we have this sort of off-roader little compact SUV body. What we're going to do is make this into our very own side-by-side vehicle with a lot of work. A little bit of luck. Let's take a look. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start off with, I think, just either fiberglass or aluminum panel material. So something lightweight, something kind of flimsy, not steel, because that's too heavy duty. It's too heavy as well. We could go for like partial aluminum maybe, or actual aluminum. I'm not too sure. We're going to go for a space frame, just a tube chassis for now. We could go for monocoque maybe. These are all made in different ways and stuff, and they're not like crazy light cars, around 1,500 to 2,000 pounds or so. With small engines. We're going to go for steel for now. We could go for a monocoque chassis or ladder chassis. We'll leave it on space frame. We're going to go for a front-mounted transverse or longitudinal. We'll go for a transverse engine. And then we can go for like McPherson struts, so some sort of cool suspension in front and rear maybe. So something a little bit fancy for the suspension. I'm not too sure if that's realistic, but we could change that later. So a new engine. We're starting off here fair and square. We're going to go for a small 4 or 3 cylinder. Aluminum, kind of cheap, but 4 valves, so kind of fancy, kind of cheap. It does fit easily, but, I think we're going to go for really small today. It's going to be a small turbocharged, 660 cc's. That's close enough. 660 or so cc's. We'll go for some forged internals. This thing has got a rev pretty high, hopefully. VVT all cams, will put pretty high pretty high cam profile. And compression 10 to 1. It's going to be a turbocharged 660cc, performance tune, small little engine, direct injection, single configuration, performance intake, and I think regular fuel. Something a bit cheaper, easy to maintain, easy to run. Leave the revs. We're going to give it a cat and just no mufflers, because this is an off-roader. So we got some good things and bad things happening. We do knock a little bit. We can increase the revs though, because we can take those all the way to 10,000 or so. We'll go to 9,000, that seems reasonable, and lower the ignition timing to 40 or so? Oh gosh, 40. There we go. So 80 horsepower, 70 torque, so not the punchiest engine, that's okay. We can lower the intercooler down nice and small, and the boost can just go up as well. So I think we're looking okay so far. Lower or increase the fuel mixture. We can give it lots of fuel, because this thing, at the end of the day, is going to, it's still going to run pretty clean. It's going to be pretty efficient because it's so light. So 90 horsepower or so. We don't need larger exhaust, do we? So just a 2.5 inch exhaust. We do have a cat, because I think that's kind of needed. I don't know if it is for sure, but I kind of like having one. Increase the cam profile a bit higher. 95 horsepower. And then just increase ignition timing until we use all of our octane on the left side. So 98 horsepower. I want to get 100 horsepower. 100 horsepower. Seems kind of reasonable. 100 horsepower, 82 or so pound-feet of torque. Not the torquiest thing, but it's got revs. Let's take a listen and see how it sounds, though. No, that's not bad. But if we go for race intake, that's 103. That's fine. We don't need a race intake. This is fine. So we're going to go ahead and choose this body. We can go for the van even. The van has 3 rows. Oh, no. 1 row versus 2. I think the van will be lighter. We'll see which one is lighter. It doesn't really matter, because it's not going to be there anyways. We're going to make this thing into our own custom body. All-wheel drive. So what I've decided to do is do a 5-speed sequential gearbox. We'll use a 50-50 weight or power distribution here. I think we could actually go a little bit rear bias. This thing is going to be a bit sportier, a little less off-roady. We'll use just a normal open diff for now, but I will probably change it in a sec. I'm not too sure what we really want to do for that at this point in time. We can go for a manual locker or an automatic locker. We can go for an automatic locking diff, sure. Okay, radial, chunky off-road tires, and we'll do the same size tires as Phil as well, just because I want to be on the same playing field if we ever compete ours 1v1, I think, or something like that. Let's go a little bit smaller. Let's go slightly, no, let's go non-stag. Let's do square tires, fully spacing out. Let's do this. than that. So let's just space them out really far. Like that. And that is a wide vehicle. Not even the max wideness, but it is very wide. We'll leave it, we'll go alloy wheels, I think. We're going to try to make this thing a little lighter, maybe. Vented discs, 3 piston, 2 piston, or 1 piston. Actually, 1 and 2. So 9 and 6. No under tray. We could use off-road skid tray, but it doesn't really do anything. I think this is going to be more of a sports off-roader, or a sports side-by-side than like an off-roading side-by-side. We'll go for basic interior. Maybe standard? No, basic and basic, or none. Maybe a basic CD player. Nah, CD player's too. That's too fancy. 2-seater. No power steering is needed for this one. We'll give us ABS. Maybe it's like, you know, optional on or off. I don't really know. We'll go for like the lowest safety possible. We'll go for just some actual fancy suspension because we can, and we'll tune it just to a sport tune for now. So weighs 1,700 pounds, 37 mpg, which is pretty decent. The ride height is definitely too low. We'll raise it up quite a bit higher. It's got to sit quite high. Let's do, what do we got here? Okay, so it's pretty neutral steering. It's a little bit like that. We'll change this. The brakes are definitely overkill. We'll go 1 piston front and rear, I think, and just smaller in the front even. 8 inches, and we'll change the bias just a bit. So we're saving some weight, saving some money here. What's the cost? $25,000, 2012 US dollars. So it's a little expensive, I think. A little bit. We can go partial aluminum. It'll weigh a bit more. It brings the price down quite a decent bit. Or we can go for monocoque and like glued aluminum on the chassis and partial aluminum. So in between price-wise and in between weight-wise. It's not the heaviest. Glued aluminum is probably a little fancy, and monocoque's a little weird. If we go to hide the chassis, so that's the monocoque. If we go to, let's hide the body again. We can go steel, and we can go fiberglass. We could go steel and fiberglass. We could do that. What's the weight on this then? So is it a little lighter even? 1680. So 1680 is quite light. 1680, what's that in kilograms? I think it'll be fairly decent, honestly. Let's check. So that is 760 kilograms, which is pretty much right in line with Philman's. His is about 750, mine's about 760, so pretty much the same weight. It's not bad. Let's take a look. So we got a 5-seat sequential. The gearing is a little bit interesting. We can actually make this way better. So we have a better 0 to 60. If we just do front-wheel drive, it's actually slower. Okay, not bad. So a slight rear-biased all-wheel drive system. Chunky off-road tires. They are squared setup, which looks like it's going to work fine. We don't need any aerodynamics. If we can make this thing lighter, I would. We can go for half seats even. We could do half seats. We could do that. It's not really much difference in weight. We can go lower safety. We are the lowest. So we're on 18 safety. 28, and Philman in his vehicle is 0 safety is what that's what he's on. He's got 0 safety. If you go to like this, we're at 18 safety. We can go just above Phil's. We'll go 0.7 safety. So it's slightly more safe than Phil's, but it is quite a bit lighter. So ours is actually 1,560 pounds, which is 707 or so kilograms. Not exactly the same, but it's not bad. So I think the basics are not a bad weight distribution. 0-60 in under 7 seconds for a car with 100 horsepower is not bad at all. It's basically a key car at this point in time. $24,000, not a terrible price. We can lower the body quality to none because we don't really have a body to go on. Less weight, less reliability, less material costs by a good bit. Our safety's taken a hit of 0. So $21,000 now. The brakes, we can actually even go less on the pad type. That'll save us some money. And change the bias a bit more. So 21.5. Everything else is pretty much fine, I think. So I think everything else is pretty fine. It is a similar price to Philman's car. Maybe at some point, if Phil wants, we can actually sort of 1v1 our cars. And I think my car is quite a bit cheaper. My car is quite a bit cheaper, I'm thinking, than his. So his car costs $32,000 in 2012 in automation. My car costs $22,500. So it's quite a bit cheaper. It's quite a bit cheaper. So what we're going to do is design this beast. I might change it again to a space frame chassis depending on if it works better for design. We're going to do our best to make this thing look like a side-by-side vehicle, and of course there's been pictures on the screen everywhere, here, there, everywhere basically. So we're going to try to make our best side-by-side possible. It's not going to be as detailed as real ones because, let's face it, you just can't in a short amount of time that we do these videos in. So we're going to do our best. I hope you guys enjoy the time-lapse. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. And we are finally designing our UTV, or our side-by-side vehicles. So what I'm doing first is just using reverse dog tape, which is a mod fixture, to make a bunch of chunks or a bunch of the body invisible, or as much of the body as I can invisible in BeamNG, and automation of course as well. So that takes me a good 10-15 minutes just deleting or getting rid of as much body as I can. We are still using monocoque chassis. I will probably switch to a space frame at some point, just because it's going to look a bit better and probably a bit easier to work with, but the body's just getting deleted here or there. So what I'm doing now, after most of it's gone, is just sort of shaping at the front end. I'm thinking of this triangle-shaped front grille area, this whole front end for the triangle shape. I do go with a different direction, but this is just laying out the first sort of interpretation of what I want. So a big sort of triangle-shaped front grille section with some angular kind of angry headlights, and some fixtures around that as well. So I do spend a minute or two just looking at that, get rid of the whole thing, start off with a flat bonnet, a flat hood, and with these really weird rectangular headlights, which I get rid of later on, but they stay there for just a little bit just to have some sort of shape. Adding some, you know, some texture, some layers to the front top of the car, the front hood. Then making my own front bumper or skid plate or bash plate, whatever you want to call it, making our own out of some 3D fixtures and whatnot, using bumpers and a bunch of other body molding pieces, etc. as well. So working on the side pieces of the vehicle, just laying out the side now, using flat pieces, using body molding, etc. To make it look like it has sort of a roll cage happening, adding a door handle, adding some trim pieces here or there to add depth to it, and then adding some actual roll cage mod fixtures to actually give it the rest of the roll cage, because they look a bit better for some instances. Having an open roof right now, but that will change shortly. Doing a bit more detail in the front end to add it. The whole car is gray, as you can tell right now. I will change it after. It's just staying gray just for ease of designing, because it all starts off with different colors and whatnot, because the body texture is invisible. So adding a few things to cover up some messy spots here or there. Sitting here for a second, I am thinking of a name. We're still working on that as we're going through the video. Adding the top of the roll cage just so it has some more support, and just a flat piece above it just for some roof coverage and whatnot as well. The back, I wasn't too sure, because some off-road side-by-side vehicles have this sort of really open back end, and some have this sort of truck-like box or flat place at the back. We do end up going with sort of a flatter but slightly sloped rear end, with just some square tail lights at the back, and then we work on some turn signals on the front and some main headlights as well. So we make our own custom headlights out of actual headlight fixtures and mod fixtures. We have the interior already done with seats, the dash, and the steering wheel. Playing around with colors here and there, but I do go ahead and add some black plastic to a lot of pieces of the car, contrasting, of course, to the white that we have right now. It is a different color than what you see in the thumbnail, but just because it looks better in the thumbnail that way, in different colors, I think anyways. But the white looks really clean, I feel like, in automation. So adding the Maven sort of M symbol, and in front of us is the 2012 Maven All-Trail Sport. Alright guys, so like I said, in front of us is the 2012 Maven All-Trail Sport. The all branding is used for Maven's cars, and I guess their side-by-sides or UTVs or whatever this is called as well. The all branding is sort of just a sub-brand of Maven. It's their sort of all-terrain branding. It can go anywhere. It's their go-anywhere brand. The All-Trail is not really a street vehicle. There's no safety. There's nothing. It's definitely not a street vehicle. So 1,550 pounds, 190 kilometers an hour is the top speed, which is terrifying. This thing is going to go pretty good. So we'll go over the design real quick, and then we're going to hop into BeamNG, and we're going to see just how awful or fantastic this thing might be. I think it's going to be good off-road, but anywhere else, we'll see, we'll see. So it's got these circle, it reminds me almost of a Manx, is that what it is? A M-A-N-X, a Mansk? I don't know, something like that. I'll post a picture below or above if I can find it. Kind of reminds me of that. We have the Maven M in the middle, the emblem from the new Maven emblem at least. We have this sort of push bar up front with this skid plate. That sort of works at the side. It does not perfect. It's not perfect. That's okay. We have turn signals. We have the headlights. Pretty smooth hood of the is there a hood? Is it open? I don't really know. There's a hood-ish area, and then sort of fake air intake up there, even though it's probably real. We have a grill in the front, which probably isn't real again, because you don't really need cooling in this thing. There's not really much going on. We have this plastic body cladding going around the bottom of the car, up the front, up the sides, down to the back, and through the bumper as well. Very simple on the rear. The sides are pretty simple. We have doors that sort of look like doors, but they're not doors, but they look cool. It's a two-seater. You sit very low. There's probably no comfort there at all. There's no pedals, but you don't really need pedals probably. You got a simple gauge or whatever there. You got a steering wheel. Everything you really need for a, a UTV or a side-by-side vehicle. A big old exhaust tip. So we'll go over the stats real quick. $22,500. It's got 0 comfort, 0 safety, 16 utility. That's not bad at all. It gets 38 mpg. That's not terrible. 0-60, 6.9 seconds, 190 km/h top speed, and it does the automation test track in 2 minutes and 39 or so seconds. That's not bad. That's not terrible. A pretty good weight distribution of 55-45. We're gonna hop into BeamNG. We're gonna take this thing off-roading first. I want to see, can this thing climb over mountains? What can this thing do? Let's check it out. I'll see you guys in BeamNG in just a sec. So we're finally here in BeamNG.drive with the All-Trail Sport. Now the car looks actually really good in BeamNG. There is a few weird things happening. There's some chrome bits here in the front, the back, and on the roof, and the floor. I'm not sure why they are shiny metallic, and like metal chrome. I'm not too sure why. They're supposed to be white. I made them white. I double-checked, but that's okay. So we are in East Coast, USA. This is the Off-Road Trail 1. Before we start, we're just going to listen to the sounds of the engine. Pops and bangs and turbo sounds. That is beautiful. Now the gearing is set up. We're gonna lock the diff. It's locked. The gearing is set up for street use. So you know what? It might be quite short gearing for a real life car, but for the off-roader, it's definitely too long. This thing should not go more than 100 kilometers an hour probably, and it can go like 180, 190. So it should not be geared for longer than really 100, I think, in this case. But that's okay. There's always fixing. I'll put a link down below if you guys want to download this car, the BeamNG mod for this car. You guys can check it out, put it in your BeamNG mods folder, and Bob's your uncle. There's also the automation car file inside that if you want to tinker with it in automation. But beware, it uses a lot of mods. So far, oh, it sounds pretty cool. I love the revs. I don't like the engine note as much as I would hope, but it's a 4-cylinder. What do you really expect? It sounds like a generic turbo, high revving 4-cylinder. Maybe if you put a race and take it, sound a bit cooler, but that's okay. Climbs the hill pretty well. So far in third person, it looks like we're playing like a different game altogether. BeamNG's, oh wow, that's not the way we go. Oh boy. So this is a 60-40 split power distribution, so it's 60 rear actually, 40 front. It's a bit slidey, maybe if we get it to slide. It is tuned with sport suspension by default with a very, very slight tune on the sport suspension. That's okay. Ooh, ooh. Now there are pros and cons to this car itself. Now a pro is this car itself is quite small, but the bad part is it's not as small as we might think. It's gonna be a little wider. The hitboxes is a little bit wider and stuff due to the actual car body still being there, just invisible. Using reverse dog tape to cover the body up. So it's not perfect, but it's actually quite good. It's still a very small vehicle overall. Very short wheelbase, very short track width, and a very short. It's pretty low. It's not very tall, which is good and bad, I guess. Look at that. So I think the ride height should be increased a little bit probably if we do a little bit more of this with this vehicle. Not today, but that's okay in the future. I want to drive this thing in a proper off-road circuit or something like that after with maybe Filmin 86 or some of you guys know as where's the jump button. Is it a zone off-roader? Oh god, this is difficult. We're going around this. The ride height just a little bit. I don't think this is a rock crawler necessarily. I think it's more of a, a sand dunes kind of vehicle, maybe even, or a slight off-road terrain or mudding. Oh boy, that was not good. Come on. We're good. Oh boy, rocks. So it's not, you could definitely tell it's lacking power. And the turbo lag is there, and it's noticeable. It does not have enough power to go over big rocks and stuff, and the tires aren't big enough to do so. So it tries its best. Like these are small ones, and it's kind of struggling over those even. And there's a lot of bangs and noises we hear in the background. Oh boy, this is a tough area now. I remember this part. Oh, well, that's not bad actually. Oh, we're fine. We're definitely not getting records today, but this vehicle is. I feel like we have to be more careful with it. It's definitely less safe of a vehicle. I wouldn't want to crash in this thing. We're coming over the finish line soon, though. Not a great time, but not a bad time. We're definitely not rushing through it and doing like a speed run of it because I want to get a nice clean lap in. 333. Not a terrible time, especially for a car with only 100 horsepower. I want to do two things now. I want to weigh this thing because we got to see if this thing adds more weight. It weighs 1,550 in automation, but we'll see how much it weighs in BeamNG, so we'll check that out. On the top left, we have the 0 to 60 timer, or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour timer, at least of 62 miles an hour. We're going to lock the center diff. We're going to launch this thing in first. That launch is really brutal, actually. It is an impressive car. 5.9 to 60. Very, very impressive for off-road tires for one. And only 100 horsepower. Now let's see what this thing weighs. So we're going to grab ourselves our very own scale. We're going to weigh it, and my guess is 1,700 pounds. 1,768. That's pretty much what I guessed. I promise, guys, I did not check. I pulled this out right in front of you guys. 1,760 pounds with all the fixtures added and stuff. That's not bad at all. I wonder if we can go like this. We can hop into, let's just go all the way over here. Exactly. I don't want to be there. Thank you. Let's just take it on a quick jump, or in the off-road course over here, and we'll finish off that way. Not bad at all. A pretty honestly reasonable car. Let's take it over a torture test tablet. Let's do that. Let's do this, and let's bring the car back over here. Look at that. Very stiff suspension. That's okay. Let's start it up. So it's definitely a stiff sport suspension. We're gonna ramp up this. It's gonna land perfectly fine. Oh gosh. Oh, that was not good. And look at that. We stuck the landing. Everything is a-okay. I see no issues probably. Let's bring it over here again. I want to see actually. Let's test if it's a better 0 to 60 on dirt, because we have off-road tires. Let's see if it's better on there. This is the starting area, I think. This is just dirt. Let's launch it on dirt all the way so we can do 0 to 60. Come on. 6 seconds, eh? Pretty much the exact same 0 to 60. That's pretty impressive. And how about sand? The sand gets pretty deep at the end, I think, though, right? Yep. Oh boy, it loves to cruise through the sand. Let's try it. Let's try it. Let's try it. 0 to 60. I'm gonna guess 7 seconds, but we might sink or something. I'm not sure. Oh, this is gonna be difficult. That was like 80 kilometers an hour. Yeah, we were not getting it there. We were not getting the speed there at all. This is ice. Yep. Oh gosh. That is not... Oh, we've lost all grip. Okay, let's try that. Let's try ice. It's an all-weather vehicle, okay? Alright. Nope, not happening. Nope, not happening. Pavement it is. Let's try the same way over here. But yeah, so you guys, download this car, link in the description down below. Join the Discord, linked in the description as well. This is a ton of fun to make and a pretty long build. It's not perfect, I know. Maybe I'll make another one better in the future. The 3D fixtures, gizmos, and stuff is a little bit difficult sometimes, but it's a lot of fun. Let's see what we can do here. Nope. Come on. How about 6 seconds? It's about 5.9. That's about the best we can do. But yeah, join the Discord, link in the description. If you guys want to see more of this car, leave a comment down below. If you want to see more cars, leave a comment too. Let me know what you guys want to see. I've got another cool build coming in a few days. There's a stream coming tomorrow. And more videos coming like almost every day now for a little bit. Thank you guys so much for the support. You guys are awesome. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and as always, I will see you guys next time.